Hey everyone, welcome to episode one, season one of Hooked Up, the podcast where we're going to discuss all things offshore fishing off the Carolina coast here. And Wes, you ready to get things started?
I am looking forward to it. Had some good feedback from some people who want to be on with us, trying to get those lined up and set in stone. It's kind of hard. It's probably the wrong time of the season to try to get captains on because this is their busy time, but hopefully we can get one to break away for a few minutes, just talk to us. Today's episode, we're going to talk some history of some offshore. We'll look at some people say the golden days, some people say now the golden days. It all depends on who you talk to, but let's look and see some history. For those segments, my brother will be joining us some, and then you and I will be talking through some of those segments. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to look at the latest tournaments update. We've got some tournaments that just ended, another one coming up here in South Carolina and North Carolina. And then take a detailed look at the one at the Big Rock. Kids Big Rock is the next one actually on either state's timeline. Mm-hmm. And then our last segment today is you and I just go ask questions, write them down. So when we get our captains and our local zone and our anglers, whoever it is, stuff we want to ask them, see if we can figure out more about this offshore fishing and that we can get more involved in it, get more people involved in it also.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Sounds like we got a good episode on tap today, Wes.
All right, well, let's take a break here and we'll come back and get started. Need help getting that budget together? Reach out to us at Clark Financial Coaching. We can help you with budgets, forecasting the future expenses, just overall tidying up of your financial picture. We're not advisors. We start at the beginning and help you get to the point where you need those advisors. Reach out to me at coachwesc@gmail.com. That's coachwesc@gmail.com.
You're listening to the Hooked Up Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a message at hookeduppodcast@gmail.com.
All right, welcome back into Hooked Up, tight lines off the Carolina coast. And this is one of our history segments. And today we're going to be looking at the Big Rock in 1970. What were you doing in 1970, Kevin? I hate to ask because I know the answer.
I didn't exist.
I was 3 years old. I was 3 years old, and actually, when I was 2 years old, my father actually fished in the Big Rock with his best friend Tommy Willis, Captain Tommy Willis, on the Real King.
That was the name of the boat.
That was the name of the boat. REELKING. Okay. But that's not the year we're going to talk about because they didn't win anything that year. The next year, Captain Tommy fished it, and he actually ended up winning the tournament. And so I got a few pictures to show off. These are actually right out of Captain Tommy's scrapbook. Unfortunately, Captain Tommy is no longer with us. I spent some time with him. I think it was my first year going to the Big Rock, actually, 2017. 3 days before the first 3 days of the tournament in 2017, I spent with Captain Tommy at his house, and he was not very tech savvy, obviously, at that age, and was able to hook up the internet in his room for him to hear the offshore broadcast of the radios going off. I've showed you before. You remember during the day you could hear them talking back and forth. Oh, you should have seen them lit up. I mean, Tommy had to be near 80 at that point. You see him lit up because, I mean, you could tell just all the memories flooding back for how many days. I mean, he spent 6-7 days a year on the water, and he fished from anywhere from Morehead City down to Fort Lauderdale. He captained boats all along the different coasts, up and down. So I mean, I can't imagine the number of days and hours he spent offshore. Mm-hmm. Just a wealth of knowledge. But he just lit up, and we had a great time those 3 days. And then obviously watching. Back then they only had the live. You could catch it on YouTube, I think, or they had a video on their website. So you had to tinker with the video on the website. It was not like today, even 10 years later, where you could just call up Facebook and watch the boats coming in. They had, I want to say they had some radio personality doing it instead of what they have production now. Gotcha. But anyway, it was really neat to watch him. And I was just sitting there, we were talking about it, and he's like excited. He says, "Yeah, I won that." I said, "You won what?" He said, "I won the Big Rock." I said, "When?" He said, 1970. I said, "No, you didn't." He said, "I did too. Look over there on that shelf and grab that book that's marked such and such." Pulled it down, and what do I get? Let's see if I can get this up. all my buttons are missing on my tech here. Let's see if I can get this. Yep. Can you see that? Kevin,
Yeah.
can you see that? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So there is the Wheeling Marlin from
Wow.
that year, 476 pounds. And the neat story behind it, and I've read the article, I'm just going to sum it up, and I'll scroll through here in a second. But the angler, who back then really was the only one really mentioned in the news, most of the news cycle was whoever was on the pole, was I think he was the dock master locally, and he'd been out several times. Let's see if I can get this to scroll through. He'd been out several times during the Big Rock and they never caught anything. So he'd got the name that he was kind of jinxed. And nobody, I mean, people literally in one of the articles, it said they would tell him his name was Bump Styron. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. They had gotten to the point where they kid him and say, "Don't look at my boat. I'm going out on fishing today," because he was known just never had caught anything, and every time he went out, they never would catch a marlin. So this article was written about him, just talking about how Tommy actually talked him into going out that day. So what had happened, from what Tommy told me, was the guy who was supposed to be the angler that day had gotten held up. The boat was based out of Greenville, South Carolina. The owner was. He had developed a reel called the Reel King, and he was selling that reel up and down the coast, and the boat was really meant to promote sales for that reel. So late 60s, early 70s, gotcha. Tommy went up and down the coast fishing tournaments, winning some, and with a big expense account and taking care of the other captains, and was selling the reel. So the guy had gotten held up and wasn't going to make it, so he talked Bump into coming. Bump was first like, no, I can't go. Finally went out there, and if you read through these articles, I'll come back to that one, you can see that they spent most of the day not catching anything, and then all of a sudden near the end, and I wish I'd remember the exact time. Let's see if I can see it here. I glance through here again. No, I don't see it, but the exact time, it was late in the day when they hooked up.
Really?
Yeah. So, what's going on? So, they fought it at the end of the day, brought it in, weighed it, and it ended up winning the tournament. And you can see here, Bump, there's the guy right there. Bump Star collects one of two trophies. The one for landing the largest blue marlin in the tournament, from Kathy Hodges, Miss Blue Marlin, 1970. It was not called the Big Rock back then. And all the articles, they refer to it as the Fabulous Fisherman's Tournament back then, but everywhere in the paper it just said the Morehead Blue Marlin Tournament.
Gotcha, yeah.
So along here with Reel King mates, Mike Newman, Wade Bailey, Captain Tommy Willis. Tommy's the one in the back that he's like his photobombing over the trophy.
Oh, yeah.
And Mayor Bud Dixon was the one presenting the trophies from Morehead itself. See if I can find the other. There's the picture that was in the actual paper up there.
Yep.
And I had a picture showing. Okay, then I always take a picture of the on the fountain up in Morehead City. If you go to Morehead City, there's this huge fountain, beautiful marlin water coming out, and each stone has a winner engraved on it. So like this year's will be added over the next few months.
Oh, that's really cool.
So
that's really cool.
I had it in here somewhere. I thought must have been somewhere else. But anyway, I must have missed that picture. I asked Tommy, I said, well, how much did you win? And he said, $500.
$500.
I said, what? He's like, oh yeah, back then it didn't pay out a lot of money.
So, my gracious.
But it was a really neat day, and I have more stuff from him that I'll share in a later broadcast. But just being able to sit and listen to him and what things were. And I'm sure we'll talk more about Tommy as we go forward, because I got a lot of stories from him and my dad just about the history. But this is what we want from everybody, though. We want to
Oh yeah.
Hear from locals inside their part on the coast, captains. It can be anglers. It can just be people who've heard stories about what happened there. We don't care. Write us at hookeduppodcast@gmail.com because we love to have you on the segment and just talk, because that's part of one segment during the month, probably more than one segment during the month, is going to be about history off the coast. And it can be in the last 10 years, could be last 20, last 30, or like this, last 50, 60 years. We want to hear about it. So we want to be well-rounded when we look up and down, because there's a lot, especially back in the 50s and 60s. Things were so much different in Morehead City than they were in Wilmington or Wrightsville Beach, and so much different than they were in Charleston. Well, I'll get into the story about Captain, I think it was Captain Eddie Hanneman. I have to check that with my brother. One of the captains my dad worked for in Wrightsville Beach was actually the first one to go to the Gulf Stream out of Wrightsville Beach, which is a pretty interesting story.
Really?
So
what kind of boat was Captain Tommy fishing on in 1970 when he won?
the real king was, oh shoot, I'll have to ask my brother. I want to say it was Egg Harbor.
Egg Harbor. How
Pretty
big
sure
though?
the salty fair. It's probably 40 some feet.
Okay.
And that was considered really big back then. That's what I'm told.
Yeah.
Because again, I was just 3. I know I look old, but I was just 3. So. But you did not have the 16, 70-foot boats you have today.
Yeah. Did they still have the fighting chair back then? I mean, it's still.
Yeah, it was a fighting chair. Not what you see today, but well, I say that, but they're not that big a difference.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Hold those
Did he
questions
tell you what he
for
caught that fish on, like what rig he was using and all that?
No, but everything they used were a Declon line. Declon, none people use it anymore. My brother and I have it on some of our reels just because it lays down well in the wind. It doesn't when it gets wet, it gets heavier, so the wind doesn't take it offshore.
Okay.
They still sell it.
Oh, they do still sell it?
Okay. It's almost more like a cloth than it is what you're used to today.
Interesting.
So, I actually still have a couple of poles left that Captain Eddie Hanneman made by hand, because back then they made everything by hand. I have some poles. I have to bring those on one broadcast. I have to dig them out of storage and show the craftsmanship on those rods.
Are they really wooden amazing. Or what are they?
Wooden.
Wooden?
Yep. So
these people are catching marlin on wooden rods.
Well, you've seen you've read the the Old Man in the Sea? He caught. I mean, they caught marlin on hand lines. Yeah, I think I talked to one guy who knew somebody who caught a marlin on a hand line, and I've seen you pictures, especially offshore down in Costa Rica and all, the people fishing, and they'll hook up with a marlin on a kayak.
On a kayak,
that's always fun.
That's yeah, no.
All right, well, let's take a break here, and we'll come back and talk some tournament.
Sounds good.
econsense.us, econsense.us, the home of West Economists and all of econsense content. You can go to the website and find links to the books, also links to all of our podcasts explaining economics from the basics up to current events. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We also offer economic advising and consulting for efficiency and better use of your resources. Again, reach out to me from the website, or you can just write me at west.the.economist@gmail.com. The place to go to find out more about economics and everyday living. Not the stuff you hear on TV, but the basics of understanding how resources and products and services work.
Welcome. You are listening to the Hooked Up Podcast, tight lines off the Carolina coast. Feel free to reach out to us at hookeduppodcast@gmail.com. We would also love a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Fish on!
All right, welcome back into Hooked Up. Kevin, I think you're ready to fish a tournament, aren't you?
Sure, I'm always ready.
How much money you got?
Huh? Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
I spent all my money on pigeons, Wes.
You got to save a little bit back now for a fishing trip. Now we got to charter something out of somewhere.
I know.
So we
We
are
need to get
talking
out there.
tournaments. We need to talk tournaments, what's been going on, what's happening. So we're going to start in South Carolina this week, where, let me see if I can get this shared right. I want to share the whole thing, so we're going to switch around windows. Actually, I think I can just share this one. All right, so do you see the tournament? Is it up for you?
Yep. Sure is.
So we just, last weekend, as we record this last weekend, Carolina Billfish Classic was up. We're going to walk through some of that, see what happened there. And then the Edisto Invitational Billfish Tournament comes up next month. We'll talk more about it in upcoming segments. But let's go to the Carolina Billfish Classic. And the best I can tell, I didn't follow it day to day, but I didn't see any blues boated. So we had the leaderboard ended up showing Bullpen at 2,800 points, Starfish at 2,600, and the 56 Freeman, the top three, at 2,400 points on the leaderboards. Let's see if what else we can find here. Yep, Billfish, Dolphin, 53. They called a 53-pound Dolphin off South Carolina coast, legal holiday. 23-pound tuna, Wahoo 21.5 pound. Lady Angler, Cynthia Satosta. How you say that? Satosta?
Yeah.
2,400. No junior angler, but a youth angler with 800 points. I'm not going to try to say that young man's name.
No, let's not.
Yes.
But good job.
But that's the results from the Carolina Billfish Tournament out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Okay. And the summary for the year, let's see if I can, Facebook, they had one up that was really good. The 2006 series standings as of after this tournament, I believe this is right. Yeah, 4 days ago. So Starfish has 6 blues and 17 sails for a total of 7,075 points. Claytime, this is across, and you can see they've checked off at the top which tournaments have been fished already. Okay, and this one is not including the Billfish Series tournament. So we'll have to see an updated version of this probably in the next few days. Maybe we'll catch it on the next podcast. But Edisto is coming up. Claytime with 7,075, and Rascal not too far behind, but 5,875. And then it takes you on down to 10th place. And they also keep track of the actual anglers. So we'll go over here. We'll see his Carolina Billfish Tournament again. This summary from that. Let's go over to this one, and there's what we just read off the Facebook page.
Yep.
So far in 2026, we've seen number of boats that have caught stuff. 56 in Georgetown, 42 and 28 in those two tournaments. Blue Marlin's released so far this year, 26, 42 and 13. White Marlin's released 10 and 1. And then Sailfish, they've been running a lot this year, 90 out of Georgetown on that tournament.
I want to go catch a sailfish. Yes.
79. And you can see no blues have been landed this year.
Interesting.
So that's where you stand in the South Carolina Governor's Cup at this point.
And they've got one tournament left, Wes? Is that
one
right?
tournament left, the Edisto Invitational Billfish Tournament. And that one is coming up. That's the Billfish one. Where's the Edisto one? Right here. Edisto's coming up out of the marina at Edisto Beach. There's still time to get involved with that. The rules aren't up yet, but it'll be up soon. The entry is up, and the tournament within a tournament, TWT. It took me several years to realize what TWT always stood for. Tournaments within inside the tournament. So different things, kind of like levels in the Big Rock. You looked at the Big Rock.
Yep.
So that's for South Carolina.
Edisto's south of Charleston, correct?
Yes, I believe so. No, is it? I thought it was right at the harbor. Let's see.
That's why I'm asking you, Wes.
Edisto Beach, yes, right north of the harbor.
Oh, it's right north of Charleston Harbor?
Yep. So if I zoom out here.
Okay.
Right there at the harbor. So that's where they'll be fishing out of. So you've had one.
No, it's south of Charleston.
No, I'm sorry. No,
okay, yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah,
okay. Yep.
So it's right north of the channel there, going in. to the sound. So they started in Georgetown. Georgetown is all the way up here and worked their way down to Edisto, which is, as you zoom out, obviously the farthest away from the Gulf Stream, I think. I went to the Gulf Stream out of Savannah one time, and it was that night. We left at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was about 85 to 95 miles out. Off of it was Tommy's last boat, Captain Tommy's last boat. He was captain for Colonial Oil, and I went off, caught a barracuda.
Wow.
That was all I caught. But even back then, I was 18 years old. Even back then, crossing into that blue water and crossing into the stream, it's pretty amazing. The Gulf Stream. All right, so what do we have left in North Carolina? Well, we had the Big Rock Tournament, which we'll get ready to get into. Ducks Unlimited Billfish Tournament, which is the same weekend as the Edisto. If we go back to the map, we can see how far away these two tournaments are from each other.
Oh, yeah.
So you got that red mark there, and then you're going to be up here in Morehead City. So two major tournaments happening, nowhere close to each other.
No.
I guess the closest they get really is Georgetown and Wilmington.
Yeah.
Is the closest two Carolinas come for their tournaments.
Yeah.
But we have left, and then the Pirates Cove up in the Outer Banks will be August 8th through 14th. And I've actually got messages in to these tournaments to see if we can come up and shoot some footage there. I'm not sure what their policies are. And some of these smaller tournaments, they're not as open as the Big Rock. I mean, it's just more of a closer community. Yeah. So I've asked for permission because I just didn't want to show up. So hopefully we'll hear back in time that we might be able to ride up and you can see some of your first weigh-ins.
Oh boy, yeah, that'd be fun.
One of the messages I've got up is to actually the director of the Big Rock. I actually talked to the director, I think it was Madison. Madison, who is the director of the Big Rock overall. And then she gave me Carol Lee's email to contact her, see about coming up. And I have not heard back from her yet, but I'm sure she's busy. She's getting ready for the tournament. But I'm hoping I'll get a word back that we might be able to ride up. The Big Rock, that one's not such a big deal. They're pretty open. Let me share this again. And we'll take a look at the Big Rock in this segment. So I think this is a picture. It's probably the picture of last year's Big Rock award ceremony. Not near as big, obviously, as the regular Big Rock tournament, but still a pretty big deal. It's happening 8th through the 11th, which is next weekend, actually. Oh, 2 weekends from when we're recording.
Yeah.
Here's the summation, and this was actually 2024. I wonder why.
2024.
Yeah, I wonder if that was actually right, because that's what's on the website. But you'll know, I don't know if you recognize that name there, Marlin Fever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure do.
Had a lot in there. Offshore Outlaw. I'm pretty sure that's the one that was in the Tunis on Discovery Channel. Pretty sure that's the boat that was featured in there.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but pretty decent tournament. I mean, there's quite many people active in there. I actually put up the rules just so we can see what is the difference here. And it is anybody under 16. Actually, it may be 16 and under. Yeah, age 16 and under, it has to be the one fishing.
Gotcha.
So if an adult has the pole at the time of hookup, they have to immediately give it to a junior angler. So it's all about getting the kids involved and 16 and under being able to get them into the tournament.
Yep.
And the fees for this obviously are not near as big as the Big Rock.
Yeah, I see that.
I'd love to fish this one. I'd love to get a couple kids on the boat and go fish this one.
My son's 15, so it's your last chance.
He'll be 16 next year. We can fish it next year.
Oh, you're allowed to be 16. Yeah, okay.
16 and under.
Fish it next
16
year,
and under. So we can put him on there and get him on the Big Rock stand, right?
Oh boy. That's all we need.
So that's the next one coming up. So we'll highlight these each week, and then in the off season, because obviously there's more off season there is in season, we'll start going back and looking at this year's tournaments one by one in these tournament segments that appear each month. And we'll probably
Maybe we can try to get some of those captains on too that won the different
once we're in the off season,
events.
especially in October, November, time when they're refitting boats, and of course some of the captains then are refitting their boats and don't have time to a lot of time either.
Yeah,
I always like watching the videos on YouTube and on Facebook of the guys at the end of the winter season showing what they did to the boats.
Yeah,
good promotion for their charter business.
Oh yeah, for sure. Always have to be refreshing the boats. What'd you tell me boat stands for, Wes?
Yeah, bake out another 1,000, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break here and we'll come back for our last segment.
You are listening to the Hooked Up Podcast, tight lines off the Carolina coast. Reach out to us at hookeduppodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
All right, welcome back to Hooked Up. So Wes, I got a question for you.
I might not have an answer.
Oh, well, I've got lots of questions.
I've got a pen. I've got paper. These are the questions we'll be giving out to the captains as we get them on. And these are questions we want to hear from people watching. Invite us at let's say hookeduppodcast@gmail.com. Give us questions. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this. We said on our little preview episode, I've been back fishing now for about 10 years. And every time I learn something, it gives me 10 more questions. So every time I get a question answered, I get that many more questions I want to ask. So one of the things we started this podcast for was to help the uneducated learn more about what's going on offshore. And I mean, offshore is a big money maker already. It's a big business. It's a big thing, but there's more and more people wanting to get into being charter captains, and more people want to start up. So the more we can get the word out there, hopefully we can get more business for the Carolina coast.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's your question? Let me write it down.
So where can I find the 1,000-pound marlin?
Oh, wow. That is a good question.
How do you know where to look? I mean, you always talk about we got to go to the Gulf Stream. I'm like, oh, okay. But how do these captains, I mean, do they have certain spots? I know you talked before about looking for weed lines or birds, but the ocean's huge. Yeah. What do you just troll around until you stumble upon one of those things? Or how do you know where to go?
It is turned into kind of a lost art in my view, from talking to old timers and talking to people that knew people from the captains who fished in the 60s, 70s, 50s, because my dad actually started in the 50s, 1950s, that it's become more reliant on technology, which makes sense. I mean, we've talked before about the sonar that you can tell the species in the water, but you still got to get to the right spot. It's one of the It's one of the things I love about fishing is the hunting. And maybe that comes from my dad. My dad was a big avid hunter, also deer hunting and all. And I just never really liked hunting deer and that type of stuff. Just never got into it. But being on the boat, on the bridge, looking for that special piece of water is just very exciting to me. My problem is I don't know how to find it. So your question I can't answer because I don't know enough about it. But I've talked to enough captains and I've talked to enough people to know that have been doing it. They do it for a living. They just sense when it's time. Captain Tommy was really good at it. He did have his spots. And I think I told this story one of our pieces, but he was going to try to find the coordinates for a place south of the shoals, Panhandle shoals, coming out of Cape Fear, that he said if he ever wanted to catch a sailfish, he knew he'd go there, he'd catch one. And he passed before he ever got me the coordinates. They have a place they go to. There's a book from the Big Rock. I don't have it here, do I? No. it tells a story of the guy who won the Big Rock about 10 years ago. And he said when he moved into, he tracked, so he used technology, but he also had this feeling. He tracked this body of water off of Florida the week before the Big Rock. And satellite imaging, he traced that water all the way up as it came up the Gulf Stream. And he said he just had a feeling about that. So the way the chlorophyll was, the way just the way it was, the temperature of the water. I mean, they'd go through it. Again, I don't know. I'm just telling you, I'm putting the pieces together. And he followed it. And the first day of the rock, he went out there trying to intercept that spot of water that was coming up from in the stream. I've had captains tell me the stream is basically a river in the ocean. I mean, it's literally moving inside of the ocean. And so he said when he hit that water, he just got that buzz, that feel. This was going to be something. They hooked up, they landed it, they took it back to the landing at Big Rock, and it stood from Monday all the way through Saturday, and he won the Big Rock.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, they just have this feeling. They know where to go. I mean, there's a lot of preparation. Even then, he had that preparation. But and I will tell you, the captains are not going to tell us that prep because that's the secret. I mean, that's what you. I mean, there'll be some things they can tell us. That's general knowledge, but all of them have that little piece that that's special to them that they use and is successful. For those of you that don't know, we also do a podcast for pigeons, the Racing Pigeon Podcast, and Kevin is an avid pigeon racer. And kind of the same thing in pigeon racing. You always tell us now, we're not going to give you all the information about raising your pigeons because there's certain things to do. Same thing with captains. They have things they do, and that's kind of the fun of it. Get out there and try to experiment and find your own piece of the puzzle. Good question. So we'll have to ask them though. You know, how do you find the fish? And you especially want 1,000-pound marlin, huh? Do you know what the record is for a blue marlin?
No, but the Big Rock must be close at this point, right? Because the winner, well, this year was what, 9?
About half.
Oh, you're kidding me.
1970 off of Hawaii, the record blue marlin is 1,805 pounds. Caught in 1970.
In 1970.
Right.
Wow.
So in the Atlantic, and I'm relying on this coming up on the search. So if I'm wrong, write us hookeduppodcast@gmail.com. Correct us. Because we're definitely in the mood to be corrected because we know we are novices, amateurs. And so if we say something wrong, please correct us. Send us an email. And we'll have you on to explain why we screwed up. But the Atlantic, supposedly the Atlantic record is 1,402 pounds, caught off the coast of Brazil in 1992.
Wow. Oh my gracious.
Let's see if I can find the U.S. Atlantic. No. Off the United States coast, off U.S. coast. Whoops. Helps if you spell things right? So let's go to this here. Yeah, I can't get a good reading here. So here are the biggest marlins ever caught. 1953, 1,560 pounds out of Cobo. Now, we'll have to take a minute and look at that tournament, the black and blue tournament, going out of Cobo. There was a movie made about it with, what's the guy's name who played the rookie?
Don't ask me, I don't know any actors. I'm terrible at that.
I can't think of his name. Anyway, he's playing a lot. Here's the one caught off of Brazil. I guess let me just share the screen so we can look at them. So this is from the IGFA All Tackled World Records. Okay, this is a black marlin out of Cabo. So 1,560 pounds. Atlantic blue marlin.
Oh my gracious!
That must be 1,636. Look how huge that thing is.
Wow. Oh.
Pacific blue marlin. Now this one's saying 1982, 1,376. Of course, it probably is not a picture of the 1971. So it may be debated on whether it's not really one. A swordfish, 1182. Striped marlin. 494 pounds. And that was in New Zealand, where my son lives at.
Oh my gracious.
So if I want to catch a striped marlin, I guess I got to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Next time I'm down there, I'll have to take a look at that.
Yep. Wow. That's amazing.
Trying to find Atlantic blue marlin. Record blue marlin weight in Atlantic off the United States coast. See if it'll give me anything.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, Brazil. Tells you how AI is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just record keeping. So
Yeah.
I'll have to do some research, see what's
Wow.
the biggest. So they get pretty big. Now, obviously,
Uh,
you know, the one 919 was a record for the big rock itself. But I'm
mhm.
pretty sure that in my head, I want to say the record off the coast, off the Atlantic coast, is in the 1200 range, but I'm not positive about that. What other questions you got?
Do you use live bait? Or what do you use for bait to catch billfish? I just throw a worm on my hook and
Yeah, no.
Come
That's
on,
something
Wes.
Captain will share with us. I mean, he won't share us his rigs and all, but rigging a ballyhoo, rigging some other fish to
Wait, what's a
fish.
ballyhoo? What are you talking about?
It's a bait fish. It's got a little bill on it. You actually break the bill off when you're using it, but
Okay. And you hook these on live?
I don't know. We call them real. I think they call them real baits. They're not live. They're dead. You usually buy them frozen.
Okay. So what would be the advantage of using that over a purely synthetic lure?
Again, it's about um, what works for you. It also has to do with type of hook you want to use. When you're using real bait, let's look at this guy right quick here. Circle hooks are usually mandated in tournaments to use with real bait, and it's not called live bait. I'm having a brain fart at this point, but a lot of times they use artificial lures in tournaments because you can use a regular hook for that. But I do
So
know
I can't use a regular hook with live
it's
bait.
about releasing, catching and releasing. Supposedly the ballyhoo and all is going to catch more fish, but it also takes a lot more time rigging. Again, it all depends on the captain you're talking to, because I've heard it from both sides that it doesn't really matter what you're using. It's about the prep work, about where you're fishing. Some people have told me that they want to use not use artificial bait. But let's just go through this right quick. I can show you. Let me share the sound. And this is how to rig a ballyhoo from Fish Blue Water.
Fish Blue Water. Thanks for joining us. So
I'm gonna
I'm
come out here to
the neat
him.
ways that I like.
I'm not going to the whole rigging. You can find it. Ooh, that's pretty. Look at that. Anyway,
Probably would normally go with
let's see if I can get to the point where he's.
And this is just a piece of, I believe it's number 14 or number.
There we go. I've actually watched this one before.
Looking forward to doing some trolling, having your pin rig set up. Things. I don't have one of those handy right now. So a simple Phillips head screwdriver is my tool of choice at the moment.
It does have a little beak on it, doesn't it?
I like to remove the actual fins, the pectoral fins from the side of the ballyhoo. They swim better, making the backbone of the ballyhoo to where, I mean, it's just going to have phenomenal action in the water. All right, we got that ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is go up.
It doesn't look like a circle hook, though, is it?
The gill slits.
Now, if he's not fishing a tournament, I didn't look to see what he had.
Look to come out right about through that eye socket. Oh, it comes out. Now I need to go up.
Whatever you want. These tournaments are trying to be more conservative, conservation, basically. So they
take my bait knife,
making sure there's less damage done
in the back of that rig.
This is too much work. Look at this.
But that's just it.
And now
my
you
brother
simply
actually
fish
has
this
developed a
as
system of
is,
doing this
a naked ballyhoo.
in seconds
You
instead
could
of
add a
minutes.
skirt to it. You could do whatever you want.
I mean, that's a lot of work right there.
Yeah, and this was what now back when my dad was fishing, that's all they did.
That's all they did.
So they'd spend my brother. I remember my brother telling me my brother was considering going into fishing when he was in his 20s. And my dad kind of talked him out of it and said, "Well, this is what a normal day looks like. You're up at 4 a.m. to get the boat ready to go out. You're back in at 5, washing the boat down. You spend till 10 or 11 o'clock at night rigging baits for the next day. In bed by 12, up by 4, out on the boat again."
Oh my goodness!
What you just saw him rigging, I mean, and it's easier now than it was back then. In the 50s and 60s. So,
oh my gracious. So I know when we went out with you, I think you used some kind of looked like a fake squid or something.
Yeah, he was talking about skirts and squids, and we'll get into all that as we get into some equipment segments. Again, hopefully we can get some experts on, because I'm only going to be able to give you just a little bit of what I know, which is not a lot.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we got to learn. A lot to learn, Wes.
A lot to learn, and that comes to the end
Once
of
we
this.
learn, we're going to go out and win a tournament.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. Okay? Don't hold your breath. I like to fish in them. I know I'm not going to win them. I like to fish them, but they always say it's kind of like playing the lottery. If you're out there, there's always that chance you're going to run across that big one that hook up on some stupid thing I put off on the back of the boat. So sometimes it does. Sometimes it takes more luck than it does skill, but there's a lot of skill in the sport, and hopefully we can get captains and anglers on that have done this for a while to teach us. So write in hookeduppodcast@gmail.com. We're going to end this episode, and we will see you next week for episode number 2.
Chase clocks, we chase the tide out past the drop off where the big ones lie. Past the seaboard throttles pushing wide, chasing that Gulf Stream on an early morning tide, watching for flies in a weed line break, wondering what